What's up, guys? That was seriously an awesome episode with Soli, covering everything from Airbnb to virtual assistants to nomad lifestyle. Hope you enjoy. We're going to be doing more of these every single week, so make sure you're subscribed or you're following on Instagram and TikTok. We're going to be doing them live there, so you can come with questions, and then we're going to be posting them here on YouTube and Spotify. Hope you enjoy. If you ever want to see other topics covered or questions, make sure you ask those. We will cover them. See you guys. All right, what's up, guys? Gonna give Soli a minute to jump in. We have a great little convo set up for today about beginner investing, Airbnb, all that sort of stuff. So let's make sure she can get in and we'll get started. If you have any questions that you want us to cover, drop them in the question bar on the bottom. We have a couple that we're already set up to answer, and we'll go through all of them, make sure that we stay on to get them answered. We'll be monitoring that chat, so wherever you guys are coming from, drop your location along with questions. But where are you guys at in the world or the country? Hey.
Hello, how's it going?
Great, how are you?
Pretty good. I'm excited. I have a list of questions to ask you too. So I have my computer to take notes. I'm gonna learn a lot today.
How is your maybe fill us in to start? Like how are things going with the property you're standing up? I think you're almost done with like your first Airbnb property, your dedicated one.
Yeah, so I am launching. I actually got into Airbnb's by accident. I was at a conference in must have been like November of last year. I was introduced to an Airbnb operator and said, like, why not give it a shot? We have a duplex that's in a suburban part of town, but it's about 10 minutes from downtown Cincinnati. And so decided to try it out. The cash flow numbers were just like insane, their projections. And I said, okay, if it makes half as much as you're projecting, I'd be stoked. So it's about probably 2 weeks from being done. I'm in the middle of furnishing it right now. So I'm sourcing a bunch from Facebook Marketplace and Amazon and all that fun stuff and putting it together. So it's almost done.
That's exciting. Yeah, the first one is always a little bit, like anything, a little bit harder, but I'm sure you're going to crush it. And like, again, I think when we were just talking, my background was traditional investing and then getting into Airbnb kind of accidentally, but then just seeing like the difference in numbers. Obviously the management stuff's a little bit different, but the money you can make is awesome. So that's really cool. I gotta shout you out for a sec. In honor of doing this, I had to get a latte set up.
Shoot, I forgot. I have a fake one. We can drink a fake one together.
You got it? Okay, perfect. We
I
can
just
do
put
it.
an empty mug, but
No, you're good. I was working out. I was getting food delivered, and I was like, "What do I need for this chat?" So I had to do it. But I drink a lot of coffee
chat.
anyway. It
And
is.
you are in Colombia? Someone told me you might be there.
Yeah, originally I'm from New York. Maybe we'll do like intros for those that like don't know us yet. Or again, like this is our first time chatting, really. So like, yeah. But
Nice to meet you.
yeah, likewise. I love your stuff, and like it's been cool to watch like everything you've been doing at such a young age. But yeah, I'm from New York originally, and when I was doing real estate as a side hustle up until 2020, had a couple of units. And down in North Carolina, where I was living at the time, when I started working. And then when COVID hit, it was like, how can we speed this up? What strategies can we look at? So I was looking at multifamily and wholesaling and then found Airbnb. And that was it. And then I was kind of like nomading around. And then finally, when things were stabilized and had the VAs set up and had all the systems ready, then I was like, I kind of always wanted to go to Colombia. I had some friends here. So I've been here for the winter and just living here for like 4 months.
Nice.
So,
how long
yeah.
are you staying?
1 more month.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a little like unsure because I didn't know what my housing was going to be in New York, where I'm going to be back this summer. But no, it's officially finalized. I'm going back on April 6th. I'm going to Arizona for a bachelor party, and then I'm going to North Carolina and then New York for the summer. So that'll be it.
Nice. And you're just there living your best nomad life and managing Airbnbs from afar?
Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, it's not, a lot of people obviously think it's like Narcos and there's a lot of like sketchy stuff going on, which like is totally valid because that's what I guess we're kind of projected living in the US, but it's it's really not like that. It's like super safe. There's tons of entrepreneurs, tons of Americans, and it's really cheap. Like you can live, really well for not that much money. So I don't really feel like I'm out of the country, but just meet a lot of cool people and can run it from here. So yeah.
That's awesome. I follow this one lady. I think her name is like Your PA Mentor. I don't know if you've ever heard of her, but she moved to Thailand on a gap year type of thing. She's, I don't know, maybe 30. Moved to Thailand, and same thing. Like a bunch of cool entrepreneurs just have settled in Phuket down there, and she's never coming back. Like she's like, I've never been happier. Live super cheap, and it's like that's awesome. I aspire to get there eventually.
I mean, if you want to, you're definitely gonna get there. You're gonna get there sooner than me. I was 28. Like you're what, 23?
I'm 24. I just turned 24. Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, I think the thing is like my financial freedom number is California based. So like my $20,000 per month is like a decent life in California, but would be a phenomenal life in Colombia. So
Totally.
that's where my family is, and so that's I think where my end goal is. But I think there's different milestones along the way. Of like right now, I'm quote unquote like my expenses are all paid for. If I wanted to drop off the face of the earth, I could. But if I want to live a good life in California, I've got a little bit of ways to go.
Yeah, I was in the same boat, being like I was living in New York at the time. So everything in my head was based off that, which was a little like intimidating just because for a lot of different like lifestyles there, it's very expensive. So yeah, I mean, but here, like, it's crazy. Even you can make a lot of, different incomes, but you can live well here for like $2,000 or $3,000 a month, which is kind of wild. But did you say you're Colombian?
No, did I say that?
Oh no, you said where your family was. I guess your family's
Oh,
in
they're Californian. Yeah, they're
Got it.
no, they're in California. Yeah, no, I'm Filipino though. I'm half Filipino. So part of my family is in the Philippines, but they all immigrated to the most expensive market in like the U.S. Bay Area, San Francisco. So, yeah, I don't think they have any intentions of picking up and moving somewhere more affordable, unfortunately.
Totally. I gotcha. Well, I mean, I'm sure, again, 24, like you're so young and like so many different ways to do it, but I'm sure you'll be here if you want to, or nomading and traveling wherever. But I guess like on that note, I'd love to hear what's your like, quick story. Also for any of my people that are coming on that might not know you or like know your story yet, like I'd love to hear it myself.
Sure. So name is Soli, Lattes and Lisas. But I was working as a commercial real estate broker for a long time. So basically leasing, selling office space all around the country, really. So everywhere from Alaska to Kansas to California, from $4,000 to $50 million, like everything. Very interesting. Good place to learn about real estate. But it's a commission-based job, and so when the pandemic hit, basically the world of office leasing died, as you can imagine. No one was in an office space / looking to lease an office space, and so like I was like, okay, shoot, I have to figure out some way to create some passive income in case this lasts a long time or it happens again and I have $0 coming in. So I decided now or never, gonna buy a house, and I knew an investor in Cincinnati, so I was like, F it, that's it, Cincinnati. And I bought a house. I think I bought a house like the day I started looking to the day I closed was 12 weeks. So it was is that 3 months, 4 months, 3 months. And so I moved super fast. It was just like I have nothing to do. The world shut down. I needed something to do. And I just went like all in on trying to buy a first investment property. So I flew over after I bought that property. I was 22, I think. And I flew over for a month, and with like no experience in learning how to renovate. So I DIY'd, like learned how to use a drill and like painted some cabinets and did my first burr property. So that was my first burr. And then I just kind of got the bug and bought like 5 units within 6 months. And then from that, I think I bought like 25 units in a year and a half. Just
Wow.
crazy. And so
Insane.
what was that?
That's insane. That's epic.
That's a lot. It's a lot of units. I bought them really fast. And then I decided like, hey, this is enough money coming in. Like I was flipping a couple houses and had a good amount of rental properties. And I was like, if I quit my job today, it'd be okay. Because I was still working as a broker, but it's really tough during, like, obviously we're still like somewhat in the pandemic and people are still not wanting to go into office space. And so a lot of my time was like begging people to lease office space. And I was like, this is not the best use of my time. And so with the opportunities like between social media and like investing in real estate, it's like, this is I'm 20, I was 23 at the time. Like I'm 23 years old. Now is the time to take a big risk and see if I can make it on my own.
Damn, that's so awesome. So now you've been doing full-time investing for like what, like a year?
Oh, like 4 months, 5 months.
Oh, 4 months. Wow.
Yeah. So I quit I think it was in October or November. I'd only been at that job for 6 months and I was making really good money at the time. And so my boss was like shocked. He's like, you're not giving this up to like go do whatever you're doing. And I was like, well, the potential income in this is way greater than, making a couple $100,000 at brokerage. So yeah, it's been, so I accidentally, so now I'm sitting in Cincinnati. So I, at that time I think I had like 25 units when I quit. Most of them were vacant, honestly, because they were under renovations. And then,
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I think you cut out. Did I cut out or did you cut out?
No, it was me. It was my dad calling me.
It's okay. And so I quit and then I was like, what the heck did I just do? I'm like sitting on my computer for 18 hours a day. And I was like, I just need to fly out to Cincinnati and like get some hands on the projects and swing some hammers again and like meet some contractors because I was getting lonely without coworkers. And so I came over here early January, and I don't know why it just stayed. So it's been like 3 months, and I bought a house here and just do my thing and furnishing Airbnbs. And I guess this is my version of like nomad life, is kind of going with the flow and not needing to come back for any reason.
Totally. Because when I first started following you, I thought you were from Cincinnati, or at least like had lived there for a long time. So I didn't even know anything about like California or any of that, because I feel like, yeah, you've been there for a little while, like you said, since January.
Yeah, so I'm going back next week, just to like, because I just seriously like picked up and left. My apartment is sitting exactly how my apartment left when I thought I was only coming for 5 days. So I seriously had like 5 days worth of outfits and like that's it. And so every week I just booked a one-way flight and I was like, well, I can stay another week. Like, let me know the projects are going well, stay another week and content's good.
You're so ready for a full-time nomad life. Like same thing, like even here, like, I mean, when I started, it was the same way. I just had like one suitcase and I thought I was going to be gone for like 2 weeks. And then it turned into like randomly like 2 years. But like I pretty much like in the process of that, I was like, I need to simplify my life and find ways to just like make travel easier. So it's like easier to create content, easier to like, have my clothing with me and have everything I need with me to like do this. And it's much easier to do that when you don't have so much stuff to lug around, but also like just like your life is less complicated,
It's crazy. I mean, I didn't realize I could live off of a suitcase. I always hear people talking about like living out of suitcases for months at a time. And I was like, I just can't do that. But now It's like you wear the same 4 outfits every day. And you're like, I'm totally fine with it. Like, it's all good. My life is easy. All the decisions are gone. Like, I don't even have to think about what I'm wearing because I only have like 5 outfits. So.
Literally, same. That's so funny. I feel like a lot of people did fall into that with COVID, where they were like maybe starting a business or starting a real estate business, and they realized also like simple is so nice, and like simple can be so effective when you don't have to worry about like all the unnecessary stuff, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And like all the stuff I left at home, I mean, I miss some of my sweatshirts and stuff, but really it's like just don't like I don't need them. It's nice to be forced into a minimal life and realize that like you just don't need that much. So
Yeah, totally.
I guess I'm practicing for my nomadic life right now.
I mean, you're doing it. Like you've been there for a couple months. Like
It's not as
you're
sexy as Colombia.
okay, but we didn't even talk about this. When COVID first started, I did the exact same thing as you. I moved to Louisville for 3 months,
Okay.
and that's where I was starting, and that's how I started doing wholesaling and flipping in Kentucky. And I was just there doing the exact same thing you were doing, meeting people, looking at deals, door knocking, like finding contractors, the exact same stuff. You just picked Cincinnati and I was in Louisville. So like I have a big like base there now, but I also did go to Cincinnati a lot, and like that's how I found like, you know, Joe Fairless, and like I don't know if you know like Slocum Reed. Like,
Oh, I was just on his podcast. It released today.
oh no way.
Yeah.
I just talked to Slocum like 2 days ago. He said he was going to start doing, I guess, a podcast for Joe, like part of Best Ever.
Yeah, so there's a local meetup, and that's funny. What a coincidence. Louisville's not too far. It's like 2 hours from here. But yeah, I talked to him recently because I went to his meetup for the first time 2 months ago. And then after that, first I met him at that event. And then he was like, come speak at the next one. And I was like, I literally just got here. Like, why am I speaking? So I talked about, I don't really like public speaking that much. It makes me nervous, like live public speaking. And so there's a room of like, I don't know, 50 or something. And they recorded the podcast live. So that was we talked a lot about social media and raising money, private money on social media, and how like private money can help you scale. So that was my topic, and it released, I believe, this morning on the podcast.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, the Best Ever podcast.
I gotta check it out. Wow, that's so awesome. Slocum was telling me about that, and just not you specifically, but like he told me he was doing the podcast, and like he was getting like all these people on and stuff, and like I used to do a daily podcast for like when I was like I did like a little like mentorship with Joe, and it was like, okay, like I gotta do the same thing, daily podcast, like meet all the people. But so Slocum was like, we were just catching up on like podcast strategy, but that's so funny. He's such a great guy. And,
Are
like,
you
such a
still
cool background.
podcasting?
So actually now what I do is I take these, and these will go on YouTube, and we'll pull the audio and we'll put these out as podcasts.
Oh, interesting.
I just find this a little like right now we're focusing more on growing Instagram. So this is just like knocks out like a lot of things in one, where podcasting it was like not as many, you know, and like people aren't going to social media as much.
And what's your goal? And this is so off topic, but like your goal with social media, what are you trying to accomplish here?
Well, I guess two things. We started doing some education. We started doing masterminds and courses and just like e-products. And then also like unexpectedly about a year ago, I started doing a lot more like partnerships and collabs with brands. So we just like signed a partnership with AIRBNB. We're talking like Hospitable. We're looking at like Notion and a lot of other brands that like we use and we were posting about. And that's been a really cool way to, you know, make money, but also like align with them and kind of do like stuff with them. And then also the other thing with social media, I think my favorite part of it is meeting cool people. Like I wouldn't have met you through social media. Like I wouldn't have talked to Brandon Turner without social media. Like I wouldn't have like anyone, like all these people. And like I didn't have social media, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, like say like the beginning of COVID. And I think for like the networking and just meeting so many amazing people that they see you have a following, they have a following, and like it's a little bit more, I guess, open for a conversation. That's been probably my favorite part of it. But like those are the three things when I think about like why we're doubling down on social media, I guess would be it, you know?
Yeah, it's like automatic credibility though, which is same with like raising private money. I jump on calls and it's not even pitching. It's like, can I invest with you? It's like, sure, okay. I mean, I'm gonna give you the pitch anyways because like it's what I do. But like it's funny, the first thing that people say when they jump on is like, I feel like I know you. Like I know your voice, like I know what you look like, I know how you talk, and it's like it's kind of weird, but but it works. It works. It's like builds credibility, it builds trust. People know where to find me. Can't just disappear. It does open doors. Like it opens doors to all sorts of people who you'd never. I remember when I had no followers, and I remember trying to talk to people with a lot of followers, and then just kind of like,
Yeah.
the minute that you get more followers, everyone's like perks up and wants to talk.
It's a little it's a little like messed up when you think about it, but like it is. It's just like, you know what, like, okay, this is a little off topic, but my friend sent me something and he's like, capital or like money is stored labor. And like I really like that. It's like an old expression, I think, from like I don't know, like economists in like the 1800s, and it just meant like if you have a lot of money, it's like proof that you're legit and like you've done a lot and like produced a lot of value. And I think I kind of think about social media with the same thing. Like if someone has a big social media following, like that takes work, and
Yeah.
like you have to be dedicated to do that. So it's almost like, you know, real knows real a little bit. And like, you know, you see someone else that hasn't, it's like, oh, like unless they bought all their followers, which like, you know, you can kind of tell. But like if they haven't, it's like, all right, like this person gets it a little bit. But yeah, like I remember the same thing when when I was just starting podcasting and social media, reaching out to people, and just like no response, rejected, nothing. And now it's like, oh, like come on to our thing. I'm like, that's hilarious, you know, like it's just
Yeah.
turned different.
Yeah,
But
I heard that you have like a house down there where you have invited a bunch of influencers and like just built like did content creation.
that, yeah.
Did
Where'd you
that
hear that?
happen?
Or did I say that somewhere?
I did some background research on it.
A little snooping. I love it.
No. Janelle, like Happily Ever Investors.
Oh
They're
yeah.
they're
Oh
really
yeah.
good friends. Like I talk to her every day. So
Oh, they're
she'll-
awesome. And
yeah, we
they're
do
starting
like
to create content too.
yeah. She's they're in California, so I've actually met them. We do some wholesaling in Cincinnati with them, so they're our wholesaling partners. And then I also used to do like Tuesday content creation days with her because it's just like sometimes it's just so hard. And so if you just are forced to send someone your content and be like, what do you think? Like this is like dumb. Then so we'd exchange, and then we were talking about like, oh, how cool that you like had that house down in wherever you had it. And then she was like, how do I get invited? And I'm like, no, that just means we have to create our own. And so
You just
that's a
nailed
pretty
it.
big part.
Like you just, and I'm sure you see it a lot too, people that are like, how do I get accountability, or how do I like get a coach, or like, you know, my friends are like not it. I'm like, start it. I'm like,
Yeah.
be like the like first person that like does the recruiting. And that's literally what happened with that house. I was here in Medellin just for like 2 weeks to like feel it out the first time. And I found out that one of my friends who I met through TikTok, his name is Mike Rama, he was living like 50 yards away from me in Medellin. Like we had no coordinating, nothing. And I was like, whoa. And like he
Crazy.
crazy. And like he's got a big following on TikTok for like branding and marketing tips and like funnels. And like he was looking to learn about real estate too. So there was just like a lot of, you know, connection there. And also he was from Philly, I'm from New York. So just like we would hang out a lot. And at the end of that trip, like working together, hanging out together, we were like, we should get a house here for like another month with some other like entrepreneurs or like creators, and we can like, you know, mastermind every day and brainstorm. And I was like, and we're just like going back and forth on it. And I didn't think it was gonna happen because like it's kind of a big ask, but he had some other like entrepreneur nomad friends that were like, literally we sent one text and they were just like, we're down. Like,
Do you charge like did you charge it as like a mastermind type thing, or was it just like pay for the expense of the house and
this one we didn't charge because everyone was bringing something cool to the table, and everyone was like better than something in some area.
Mhm.
Like Mike was amazing at like funnels and like, you know, organic content, and like Brad and Nina, who are partners, like they're amazing at like, you know, funnel strategy and like DM strategy, and also like virtual assistant onboarding and like selling, and like, you know, I have a little bit of experience with that, but also real estate. So like every day we would just like talk through different strategies, different ways to like, you know, get attention or do marketing or like whatever. And I mean, everyone in that house, again, it's a good lesson for everyone. And like, it would be so cool if you guys did a house like that too, or wherever. It doesn't have to be in Colombia, it could be anywhere, or just like more masterminding. But every one of us left that house with at least like another $5,000 a month coming in and like income,
Wow,
like
that's insane.
from some strategy that like we all kind of like would do a whiteboarding day and just like hang out and talk about stuff, you know, and like that wouldn't have like it just happened because we were there together like every day, like picking each other's business apart.
I love that. I mean, no, we're looking at villas in Tulum, so might come out soon, maybe.
Good.
Yeah, no, I mean, why not? Like, that's why if you're gonna be like financially free and a full-time investor, like take advantage of it, you know? I think that's something I've
Yeah,
learned recently is I was running so hard to try to reach that like ten to $20,000 per month that it just wasn't. It just leads to like burnout and like non-enjoyment of the process because like every day, all day, I was like pulling. I still am a little bit like 12 to 15-hour days. And so, but it's like, but why? You know, like why? Like if I have, after all of our properties are leased up, it's probably about 10 grand of cash flow per month, which is totally fine. Like net,
that's
that's
so
after
awesome.
like all reserves and everything. And like, that's like cool, great. Like you can totally take a break and enjoy and go to Tulum for 2 months or 3 months and then come back refreshed and start again. So,
Do you find it though that, you know, like I have had to find my version of this, but do you find also there's like, you know, a balance of there's a lot of the work that you like to do. So like, you know, you're doing it and like it's what you enjoy, but you know, like you would be bored if you got to the end and you were just like sitting on a beach or
oh,
could,
100%.
okay, yeah, yeah.
I would be so bored after 2 days of that. Like, no, but I think it's just like, you know, you go to Tulum for a reason. You go to brainstorm on social media content, or you go to this place to do whatever, to go, I don't know. I could not just go be a tourist for a month. I'd have to go for a reason. Like I had a trip to Italy planned before, right before the pandemic, and I was so crushed because it hit
Hmm.
Italy like the worst. But I had a stay at a pasta making. So it's like a workaway. Have you heard of workaway?
No,
Oh, it's fantastic
work
for
away.
people who like experiences more so than tourism. So you live at somebody's house and you have free room and board for as long as you stay, and you work with whatever they're doing for like 4 days out of the week, and then or depending on what they say. But this lady was a chef, like a pasta chef, and so for 4 days out of the week, you would just pasta. And then for the rest of the time, for like, it's like 4 days, 6 hours. And so it's like, great, I got to spend a month learning how to make pasta from an Italian chef. And then the rest of the time, you do whatever you want.
That's so cool.
Isn't that awesome? So, like, for me, maybe it's not, I'm going to brainstorm on social media or like I'm going to go open a new Airbnb market, but I'm going for a purpose to enrich my life and my skills. Like whether that's, you know, you can work at vineyards, you can work on organic farms, like you can work to build homes, you can learn how to make pasta, you can do
Hmm.
all sorts of things. You can even go like teach English to like little kids and they can teach you Italian in return. But they have all sorts of like interesting experiences that when you go away for extended amounts of times, it's free room and board. And then in exchange, you also learn new skills.
That's so cool. I've never heard of that. I just wrote it down. Like, there's so many programs like that that could like scratch someone's itch if they were looking to travel or do something. Like, it's crazy to think you can travel and have room and board covered for free. Like, there's no excuse not to do it. Like, if you can generate a little bit of income coming in, like, why not? You could do something
Yeah.
that like no one else can do, you know?
I think that sounds way more fun too than just like going to a hotel in Italy for 2 weeks and being like, what do I do? Because then you become part of their family, and then there's other workawares that are with you. And so there's like, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 other people who are there for the exact same reason. And if they're there randomly, they're probably just as interesting as you. And
Hmm.
so you got to go experience like one that I was going to do that I got canceled for some other reason, but it was going to Guatemala to work at a coffee shop. So again, 4 days, couple hours a day, and you got to just go sell coffee at a coffee shop, and you got free room, free board, free coffee. And I was like, that is amazing. So, but
Yeah,
then too, it's like you have a purpose for being there. You have coworkers, you have a family, quote unquote. Like you have the inside local scoop. So I think the local experience is like very important to me when I travel.
totally. I mean, like, and one thing that I found even traveling outside of the country, again, like I still like to do a lot of the work. A lot of my life, I would say, like, and again, this was like the goal at the beginning, and you're gonna have this if you don't already, but like I just wanted to focus on the stuff that I like doing, and then have like an EA, and then like VAs or like social media manager to help with the stuff that I wasn't, but like what am I good at doing? What do I like doing every day? So that like my time when I do work is still impactful and like fulfilling, but I'm not like pulled down on stuff that I don't like doing. So like
Hmm.
one thing on that though is like now every day I still like to work, but I'm also like 4 days a week now taking Spanish lessons. So like every morning, like just have my tutor, like we go through it. Like I'm still not good, but like learning, and it's just like another way to kind of
Let's
keep
hear
like
it. Let's
yeah,
hear
like
the
it's like
Spanish.
another way to keep like a habit, like a hobby, like adding a new skill or something. And like obviously it helps a lot living here when you can talk the language.
Are you pretty good? Can you like have a conversation?
I mean, basic stuff for sure. Like when my friends visited, they were like kind of impressed, but I'm like, I still suck. But like, they don't know
I'm so
anything.
bad. I took 7 years of Spanish, and I went to Costa Rica with my like very extremely white friend who could kind of speak Spanish, but they speak Spanish to me because I look like I speak Spanish. And it's so sad that I took 7 years and don't know anything. And so I just look at her and be like, what they say?
Yeah. I
So,
mean, like again, same for me. But like until I was here and I had a need to learn it, I wasn't gonna
yeah,
learn it. It just wasn't
yeah,
happening. So like,
yeah, yeah. I went to Costa Rica last April for a month or for 2, 3 weeks. But then I think it was really that was the time when I'm like, I wish I paid attention during school.
yeah, yeah. I mean, again, like it's just I would not. I like everything needs to have utility for me. So if I
Mhm.
can't use it, I have no interest in like learning about it, just because like I know I'll forget it anyway. And that's why I felt like with school in Spanish, I never expected to live in Colombia, so like I never thought I needed to learn it. But I did actually think about hitting up my old Spanish teacher to see if she'd be my tutor, but I couldn't find her contact, so that didn't
And
work.
what did you major in college? Did you go to college?
I went to college. I majored in marketing. Yeah.
And then did you work at a marketing firm afterward?
No, nothing I learned in college ever came into practice. So I did sales out of college at a software company. How
Okay.
about you?
Broker. Oh, I studied finance. So I studied finance, but I honestly didn't go to like 90% of my classes because the minute they said like attendance doesn't count, I was like,
You were out.
and I came, and I came back and I took the midterms and the finals, and I graduated with a 3.8, which is pretty impressive for not going to school. But I worked full time through college, so I was getting like the best finance degree I could, doing
Hmm,
deals like $1 million of deals across the country, and so
that's wild.
I traveled for work, and like my boss was like the best mentor you could ever ask for. And so he took me under his wing, and I learned way more about. I was a financial analyst for him for a year before I became a broker and did my own deals. And so I went to class, and I was like, this is boring. Like this corporate finance ethics and like whatever. It's like great, but it's nothing compared to actually doing it in the real world. So
I mean, I'm
I,
sure you get the question a lot of like young followers that ask, should you go to college or not? Do you have like an answer that you typically go to when they're like, should I go to college or just start investing?
So actually, I did college a different way. So I got a full scholarship to my college, which is why I went to college because, I mean, I was going to go anyways, but I went to that college because they paid for everything.
Mm,
Um, and I, and so I went to classes that I was very interested in. So I minored in sustainability. And
right.
so I was a huge nerd in sustainability. Like I took garbology, so like the how garbage moves through systems and like what happens to garbage and all that stuff. I took like sustainable construction, which was really like I got lead accredited from that class. Like tried way too hard. And then I took urban planning, and from urban planning I got into the city council locally, which was also crazy. But I was like the star student who always like raised their hand every day. So I tried really hard in the classes that I really cared about, and then I worked like 40 hours a week through college, and then I was almost a studio arts minor, so I went to all my photography classes, like all my videography classes, black and white photography, like art history. And so my education was like, while I understand finance, I used it to learn a lot about, like ecology and sustainability and art and that type of thing, and then use my real world knowledge of working to like supplement the financial education. But I wouldn't have found real estate if it wasn't for college, because I joined a real estate association by just like, I don't know what I want to do, but it sounds cool. And from that, I got my job as a broker, as an intern first, and then a broker. But without that, I wouldn't have found real estate. And like my alumni association, they're some of like the biggest real estate developers in Silicon Valley, and like the network was insane. So that's where I like discovered real estate. And so that's why I can't say I wouldn't go, because I would have never gotten into real estate. But like I think I did college different than a lot of people do, because I just went to what I felt like going to instead of what I had to go to for my major classes.
Got it. Yeah, that is different for sure.
Yeah. I came out okay. I mean, I did what I had to do. But I was like, I was like the president of the real estate association in college, and it got me into many rooms with a lot of developers and people who I'd never have access to otherwise. Again, like I graduated with a great GPA. I graduated with like a really great job. So I think it gave the outcome of what it was supposed to do. But if I would have had to pay, like that school was, I don't know, $66,000 per year. So it would have been hefty if I didn't have the scholarship.
Yeah, my answer is much simpler. I don't think you should go if you just want to make money. I don't think it's necessary. Like you can like join meetups, you can join masterminds, like you can find a like mentor, like all those things are like the experience that you get.
It
And like for me,
depends. I think
I
it depends. I think college is really fun. I think it is a little bit
totally
like
no. The preface I say is like if you just want to make money, if you just want to have fun, go to college. Like I loved it. I played golf there. Like it was so fun. Did I learn anything that I actually use? Literally not one thing.
really.
There was not one time I remember thinking like this is gonna be really important in life. And like I've never thought back and like, wow, I learned that in college and it was such an important thing. And I went to school for marketing.
I
Like
think you did college wrong though, because I learned a lot in college.
I went to class. You didn't even go to class. I went to all the classes. And I
Okay,
was
but
like, what's going on? These people have never done what I want to do. Like, they've never even owned a business and they're teaching a business course. Like, how does that make any sense? Like,
yeah,
they're
I think
teaching me
that's
like operations, but like they never had employees, you know? Like,
yeah. No, I understand. I understand. I think that some of it has to do with like the things that you stick yourself into. So like I stuck myself into being the president of the real estate association. To
mm,
me, that was like part one of leadership, like building a team, managing a team, motivating, like setting up, social media. I like blew up their LinkedIn profile, like posting, delegating. So that's how I learned like there was no money involved. It was the school's like endowment, I guess. But like that's how that's how I learned how to like that was my first experience with like having people under me to manage. And
hmm
like being on the city council, wow, like that was so fascinating. And I would have never had that opportunity if it weren't like for going to my urban planning classes and trying the most. Photography, I never thought that I would, use it, but I just loved it so much. But like I have my camera sitting right there that I use for like the YouTube videos. And I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I know what shutter speeds and aperture is, because like it's really helpful. And so
totally.
there's things like that. Like it depends on how intentional you are with the things that you do with your time in college. If you are intentional with it, like no one is so nice as when you are a student. So I'd use that opportunity to reach out to people like big developers who used to go to the school and say, "Hi, I'm just a student from Santa Clara. Like, will you have coffee with me?" And you'd be shocked at how many of them are like, "Absolutely. Like, come on in." And so I don't think that a lot of college students are so intentional with their time, or like maybe like mature enough to see like what an opportunity is to take advantage of it. But the way that most people go to college, I would say, is can be a little bit of a waste of money.
I see your point. I mean, again, you did it in a different way. So did I, but like,
Hey,
yeah.
golf is good. Golf will help you in networking.
I still think, like, if someone genuinely asked me this, I think you're better off joining a country club than going to college. Like, to spend $200,000 just on like information that if you went to a country club, I think you could meet anyone that would like love being around like a young hustler. That's just been my experience. Most of the people I met in business was from caddying, actually.
Did you
And
pay for
me,
college?
I got a golf scholarship.
It was free.
Mostly, yeah.
And you would still say it's waste?
If I just wanted to make money, yeah, totally. But like, did I have fun and like get to kind of goof off for 4 years, like, and not have to worry about like real life? For sure. But like, I again, like, I just think if someone is out there, it doesn't have a lot of money, and they're not going to get a scholarship, I think they can obtain the information in different ways that doesn't require 100,000, 150,000, two hundred
Yeah.
thousand dollars. You know,
I agree
who's
with
not
that.
getting a
I agree
scholarship?
with that. I would say going into hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt and not taking, like, you probably won't get that much out of it. But I think from my experience, like, it was, I got paid to go to college because I had a full scholarship and I had government assistance. And so I got paid, I think I got paid like 7 or 8 grand additionally to go to college. And
That's
so
wild.
they paid for my housing. So that was supposed to be for my housing, but being me, I chose the cheapest, like, hole in the wall place to live. So like I found like one of the places I lived was like this room off of the kitchen that had like cockroaches. But I was like, it's $500. I can pocket the rest of the money and save it. And so that's like some of the things I did to, like, I guess make additional money off of going to college.
One thing I wish I would have learned, I wish they would have taught in college, I was trying to learn, was just like actual business operations and like delegating and hiring and all that. Like, I just now, like, in real business sense, like a real business world, like that's one thing I just wish would have been taught more, that I've only been able to find from like mentors and people that actually run real businesses. And they're like, this is how you train employees, this is how you find them, this is how you hire them. Because like, as you know, like most people that run a business, they can't do all the day-to-day stuff. And like,
Mm-hmm.
when I was first starting out, that was my mentality, that I had to do all the day-to-day stuff. Now I don't do any of the day-to-day stuff, but like things run way better than when I did, because
Mm-hmm.
like I wasn't good at those things. So like delegating and like business operations, that's something I think that's more like business school, like MBAs and like all that. I'll never know because I'll never spend 300 grand on business school. But like, I think that's the goal with business school. And like, I hear a lot of people say that's what they're going to get when they go and like meet people who've actually started businesses, you know?
I think so. I mean, I think that's like Stanford's D school too, is like the design, like the business startup school, and like that's what they do. We had a social entrepreneurship program in high school, where yeah, it's bizarre, but like we had to we had to do nonprofits. So everyone who was part of that class had to start a nonprofit. So I did in high school. I know
Hmm.
I think that's why I got a full scholarship, by the way, because of this class. So as part of that program, everyone who started a nonprofit had to go toward the Stanford Design School, which is like where all of the crazy ideating goes on. So like all the walls are full of whiteboards and sticky notes, and like people, it's probably exactly what you did in Columbia in that house with social media. It's like, let's everybody tear apart everyone's business together and let's figure
Mhm.
out how to put it back together the right way, or what's not working, what is working. And so there's different schools for different things, but I think like getting into that type of school is probably more what you're craving, not just like the traditional education of like getting a marketing degree where you sit in a class with 100 people. and maybe just read a textbook. So I think, yeah, I do agree. I think cool schools do exist, but the core education of college is just kind of boring.
Yeah. I don't even know how we got on that, but it's just like interesting to hear different approaches, you know, and like you could end up in a lot of different ways.
Yeah,
you want
this
to talk
is a
about
hot topic.
you want to talk about Airbnb? Anything?
Yeah, no, I have. Okay, hold on. Let me pull my list of questions. I have a list of
Do
questions
it.
that I was like, this is my shot. And people ask me all sorts of things about Airbnbs, and I gotta say, like, I'm not an Airbnb expert by any means. I'm long-term rentals mostly, and this is my foray into short-term rentals. But I think that, like, for example, this property I bought for $125,000 and put in about, I think at the end of the day, it'll be like 70,000, maybe 60 to $70,000 of a renovation. It'll probably appraise its duplex for $300,000, which would be great. Like, it'll be a great cash out refinance. Either way, Airbnb or long-term rental. On a long-term rental basis, it would have cash flowed about $500 to $600 total. So
Yeah.
about $300 a side.
Yep.
Not that much, but it would have been like a fine, long-term rental. The Airbnb operators who were running our numbers for us said, like, hey, this property, if it operates on, I think it was 70% occupancy, would make $3,000 per month. And I was like, no way. I mean,
Right.
that to me is like, no. So $1,500 per side. And that, to put into perspective, so we were all in on that property for around $200,000.
Right.
Put it in perspective on a long-term basis. We bought a 10 unit not too long ago. And so we will be all into that building for $900,000, and it should cash flow about $3,000 to $4,000. And so I was like, if we can buy an Airbnb and be all in for 200 and cash flow the same as this 10 unit that we're in for $900,000.
Right.
And so that's when, like, the light bulb kind of went out. And I think right now the strategy is still a little bit untested because I'm waiting to see how it performs. But if it is true and that is the case, then, like, I'm 100% let's do this thing. Like, let's go buy a bunch more Airbnbs.
Totally.
So that's my thinking. But some questions for you. So I invest here in a market where it's not a destination at, like, really at all. It's just, kind of suburban. And so the nightly rates are, 100, 200, 250 maybe dollars a night. Maybe somewhere between there. But a lot of people are saying, like, no, I'm buying destinations, Gatlinburg, Big Bear, wherever, Florida. Where do you where the average nightly rates are 500 plus per night or something? Like, do you have an opinion between investing in the lower nightly rates versus a destination place with the higher nightly rates?
I think, well, they can both work. I think even if you could do 200 a night in Cincinnati, I would be surprised by that. That sounds really high, but I don't think you need to do that much on a nightly rate because your occupancy is going to be way higher than a place like Big Bear or Gatlinburg or, let's say, even Asheville. Or Asheville's not. Some of those places are, like, they have pockets that are more or less seasonal. If they could do, like, winter and summer activities, but you're going to have a really high occupancy rate in urban areas. Like, you could do extended stay, or you could just do a lot of different strategies pricing wise to keep your calendar full. So, like, we have places in Raleigh that they're Airbnbs. They've never had an occupancy in 2.5 years because they're rented 30-night minimums and they're 150 a night and they're literally full 365 days a year. So it's like the best of both. I shifted everything. I started long-term just like you, but once I started doing Airbnb, I just shifted everything to furnished rentals just because there's so many more benefits than traditional rentals in the sense of, like, tenant screening, collecting money, like filling the properties, like people coming to you versus you having to do like open houses and stuff, like super annoying. No leases. Like I know your name, leases and lattes, but like I don't want to deal with leases. Leases suck. So like I don't want to have to deal with like evictions and like all of that stuff. You don't have to deal with any of that. So that became like a big appeal to me. I love markets that are not destination markets. Destination markets are also extremely saturated, and they have a seasonality to them. Like Gatlinburg, I would not buy in Gatlinburg right now. Gatlinburg to me is completely overpriced. It's on the top of everyone's list. And if you buy a property there, it's not going to probably appraise for the contract price that you have it on. But if you go to a tertiary market or an urban market like Cincy or even Louisville, or outside of maybe like where other people are thinking, you can get a lot of that furnished rental market share, and you're not going to be paying that same premium. And then if you linked up with like a local hospital or a local college or a couple of realtors that had a lot of clients transacting that needed property between the purchase and sale of a home, you could just kill it. Like it's, so do I have a preference? I guess if I'm like saying that out loud now, it might be in the areas that are like more under the radar, which would be like urban areas and not like the sexy destination areas that, look good on TikTok and like Pinterest and whatever. Sure, like those get clicks, but like they don't have to be the way you go. So I guess that would be my short answer.
Yeah, no, I gotcha. That's really interesting. So you think that Airbnb as a strategy, though, I guess a lot of people are transitioning into Airbnb short-term rentals, mid-term rentals, furnished rentals. And so do you think that it's going to reach a saturation point, or do you think that they're really just oversaturated in destination markets and not in tertiary/urban markets?
I think more people want furnished housing. I think there's a lot of like nomadic people now, because of COVID, that like look at you, look at me. Like I don't want to have to like lug furniture around. I don't want to have to like sign a 12-month lease and like assemble furniture, put it in storage and like move. Like everyone's like, how did you move? Like I don't know if you've gotten that question. I'm like, I didn't move. I just moved my body. I moved my body and one suitcase. Like I didn't deal with all the other crap that like. And again, it's like you start to think about it from a lot of different ways. Like I was like, wow, like everything is set up to lock you in. So like anyway, I think it's becoming more popular, but I do think the need is gonna sustain it for a long time. I've said this before, and these videos always blow up on TikTok. I don't think the numbers are gonna last like this right now, because I don't think it's possible to see 40+% returns for like years. I think it just becomes competitive, institutional money comes in, and those returns drop. But even if it's a 15 or 20% return, if you have a good management system or a manager, like that's still amazing. So I think it will become more competitive. Like anything, it's like 80-20 of 80-20. The best will continue to thrive. The middle will do well. And like the ones that suck, they'll suck. But, I think there's going to be room for it for a long time. But I think right now it's like the golden era for like the last, like COVID was the golden era of Airbnb. Like it's good or bad, however you want to think about it. It just means that right now you have to be a little bit better, but I don't think it's going anywhere. And I think more people want furnished housing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I get asked all the time how I moved, and honestly, all my stuff is still back at home. But now, then I'm like,
Right?
what do I even do with it? Like, do I sell it all? I don't know. But it does kind of weigh you down, because like where I'd love to go, travel like 6 months here, 3 months here. It's like, what am I gonna do with my furniture? I guess sell it, but if you don't have it, like it's so much easier to just be mobile and move around, and 3 months here, 6 months here. I don't know.
Literally.
Yeah.
I mean, I made like not a commitment, but I just made this like, line in the sand in my head that I'm only going to live in furnished housing for the next like couple years minimum, because it's just easy. Like you do pay a slight premium, but when you factor in the flexibility, utilities being bundled in, also not having to buy furniture, it's not that much more expensive when you like amortize that cost over a year, as opposed to then like buying furniture, assembling it, storing it or selling it back. Like that takes time and money. So, and like this place is decorated better than any place I could decorate myself. Like this place is like beautiful. And like the places that I usually live now in Airbnb are also beautiful. And like, you know, I don't feel like I'm missing much, but I know it's a little bit of a different belief. Like you may feel like okay with it, I feel okay with it, but a lot of other people like, you know, they're conditioned to think like I need a stable place that I'm gonna live and my stuff. And like, don't get me wrong, there is some like, you know, nice things that come along with that of just having like a base, and I do plan to have that. But like when I have so much passive income coming in that I don't even care that it's just going to sit empty. You know, like if it's on
Yeah.
my mind that I have a place sitting empty, I haven't made it yet. You know, like
Mhm.
it needs to be like 1% of my income to pay just like for an apartment to like basically be a storage container so I can travel wherever I want, you know.
And where is home base going to be? New York?
I'm gonna be a snowbird for the next couple. I mean, no, for the rest of my life. But I'm gonna be a Columbia, New York snowbird for at least the next like 2 or 3 years. So New York in the summer, Columbia in the winter, and like I can leave my stuff in my parents' house in New York.
Yeah. New York still seems like it's way too hot in the summer.
Yeah, it is. But I play a lot of like competitive golf, so like that's where all the tournaments are that I usually play in.
Yeah.
So I do like it there, but it is really hot. It's not like you
It's
know,
not enjoyable. Like I like Bay Area is like 65 year round. It's great. It's like doesn't ever change. Um,
like
yeah,
Columbia.
yeah, that sounds hot. I used to have to play golf for work, and I was so bad. My just side note, but my first ever time playing golf was a 18 hole broker tournament. And I told my boss I signed up for it, and he's like, "You did not." He's like, "Have you ever played golf before?" I was like, "No."
Your first time.
My first ever time playing golf. So he like took me to the driving range, and he's like, "This is how you hold a golf club. Like this is how you hit a ball."
You need that. I feel like it takes time, but I feel like you would love it. And like, there's so much business from like golf and stuff,
It's
but
hard.
it's hard. Yeah.
It's really hard. And I think the issue is I overthink it, and I overthink it so much that I can't hit the ball. Like I lift my head up, you know what I mean? Like you lift your head up and you miss the ball. So they made me tee off, and I was like the person who teed off, and I was like, oh, like I'm totally gonna miss this ball, and I did. And I was like, this is such a bad start for the tournament, but I made it through. It was more of
You're a beginner, you know? That's all.
I was not very good. Just need a little drinks to loosen up the swing.
That definitely helps. No doubt about it.
Yeah, no. So that was my experience with golf. It was really fun. It's just frustrating. Like I played soccer and volleyball in high school, and then I played like just like casual soccer in college. And
Yeah.
like it's hard to miss a soccer ball. It's so big. Golf is just so frustrating.
Yeah, it can be really frustrating. I've quit twice, but I'm back to loving it. So it really depends, but it can be really frustrating.
It's a good mental game. You just like, you have a really bad hole and you have to get back up and
Yeah.
hit the ball again.
Yeah, you have to be really smart or really dumb. That's what someone told me, and I was like, I'm not going to classify myself, but yeah, your head can definitely get in the way.
Yep. What do you see as typical setup costs for an Airbnb?
Wow, I'm going to give my least favorite answer in
It depends.
podcasting and whatever. Yes. So like we hired a designer who maybe you know from like Bigger Pockets or like social media. Her name is Jenny Yee.
Yes. Yeah. How is she?
She's phenomenal. She's too busy. Like I mean, I want to support her. So like guys, you should hit her up. But she's incredible, but she's getting hit up a ton. But basically what she does is like her design company, she'll go to an area, she'll like live there for like 2 weeks, she'll get a truck, she'll source everything from creative places, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, like yard sales, she'll find stuff, and she can do it very inexpensively. So she just stood up a 3 bedroom, like it was completely blank. She did it for like 7,000.
But then how much do you pay her for her services?
It all depends on like how long she's there, the hours, and like how premium you want to go. She's got different packages, so I think all in all, it might have only been like 8 or 9,000 all in. Like it wasn't like
Really?
ridiculous. But then like I've had other units where I didn't use that, and we used like a different designer that was maybe 20,000 for a 3 or 4 bedroom. So it definitely does depend. If someone like Jenny exists and you can connect with that, like it takes a little bit more time, but she can source things creatively and build out a unit inexpensively. But if you want to maybe do it yourself or work with a designer and do it in a tighter timeline, like another designer that we worked with, it was like over 20,000. They source all the stuff. They have a warehouse. So literally the day you get the keys, the property is stood up. It's literally stood up in one day. They bring all of it over. And yeah, of course, they charge a premium, but like you're saving tons of time. Like within one day, your listing is ready to go live.
That's
With her, it was like 3 weeks, and like she was doing that. So, everything has a cost, but it can range anywhere from like, let's say 5 to 20, depending on the size of the unit. If you're buying new material, used material, or sourcing it creatively. But I give out a lot of furniture lists too. So if anyone wants a furniture list, just hit me up. I have a like full spreadsheet of everything in every property we usually do, and we just give it out for free. If someone just subs to the YouTube channel. So
is that because you get all of those Amazon affiliate links?
no, those make no
No?
money. People are like, no. I have a whole video on like how like the misconception of affiliate links. I have like, whatever it is, 200,000 followers across a couple platforms, and a lot of people buy stuff from those sheets. I think I've made like $100. So like
Really?
that's not where affiliate income comes from. Like if people really want to make affiliate income, it comes from selling higher ticket products or courses that other people have. Like I have a list of courses that we're affiliates for. I would say once a week we get a sale from those. It's between like $400 and $800. That's how you make money with affiliates. I really only do that list because I want people to sub to the YouTube channel. That's literally it. I don't even care about the affiliate links, but I wish they paid more, but like you don't make money with Amazon affiliate links.
That's so interesting. Even like the influencer page.
No, you don't make it's garbage. So like again, it's something, but I at the beginning when I was like I made lists for everything, every product we ever use, like camera equipment, like whatever. The payout is that's the way you make money that I found with affiliates was like get your link in front of a high ticket product that someone was already about to buy.
Yeah.
And like that's a course or whatever. Actually, I'm the most excited about anything affiliate related is having my real estate license now. So like joining EXP, the guy that onboarded me, he makes about like $55,000 a month completely passively through referrals and like agent onboarding. And I was like, that's the affiliate income like I'm trying to make. So
I have a really good friend. Also, I didn't realize that people were putting comments here, but there's like so many comments. So I have a good friend. My realtor is in EXP, and she keeps telling me to join EXP because then I can have people underneath me, and it works in like the MLM way. And then she can put people underneath me and make money off of them, and then I can get referrals and for my own properties too. So
that's literally why I did it. I met a guy who's he's making over $1 million a year just from that passive income.
Me?
So I was like,
all right, I'll do it. I have my license too, so it's not even like it's that hard to do it. I just haven't done it. So
yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that was for me. I'm not ever going to do like the open house stuff. Or, I mean, I'm not even in the country. I can't do that stuff. But like bringing on agents and stuff like that. And this guy who brought me on, he has a whole onboarding system that basically people just go to him. He does a weekly webinar and he gets people trained so that they can then like know what they're doing extremely quickly. And like, he's the one. I've never seen anyone with better systems around this. I actually was like linked up to sign with another broker at the last minute. I hate that I did this, but I met this guy and his systems were just so much better. So I kind of made the change. That other guy kind of hates me now, but like it's about making money. This guy just had an amazing plan to make money with it and like did everything for me. So like we've onboarded a bunch of other like real estate influencers now who want to do the same thing just because it's like, who doesn't want more passive income? Like if you're doing it anyway, why not?
Is this like a wink, join the EXP team underneath you?
Well, join it 100% anyway. Like you just should. And like, but what we're going to be doing is starting like, anyway, just join it. If you want to talk about it more, like zero pressure, obviously.
Yeah, no.
But like,
I'm curious to hear what you're doing.
This guy, I mean, again, not proud of it. But this guy was my accountability partner to come on with him for like 4 months. I even paid him $2,000 that I'm never going to get back. I was like, take this, give it back to me when I get my license, because I was being so lazy with it. I ended up getting it, and then I made the change, and he's like, I'm not giving you back your $2,000. He's like, you fucked me. I'm like, all right. But anyway,
That's fair enough.
it's just, whatever. Like, you don't want to resent anyone, just like, because, but you definitely should. If you want to talk about it too, we can, or I could set you up with this guy and he could just show you. But I think it could be a good passive income stream for you.
Yeah, all about passive income streams.
Yeah.
Okay, how do you set up your Airbnbs apart from any others to stand out in the market?
I mean, if someone's a short answer, like you could hire someone like Jenny. Like her stuff is beautiful. Like she's not alone. Like we have a list of, like those types. I just hit her up first and she was in like that part of the country. But like if you're not sure how to do it, like someone like that can really help you unless you're into design. I think you're definitely a little bit more like design and like I would say creative than me. Not really my specialty. But like if someone just wants the easy button for it, you can hire someone that can give you like an edge. If you don't want to do that, you want to do it yourself, I have like 2 recommendations, which would be just scout the best 5 listings in your area, see what all of them have, and see what you can do to replicate it or one-up it. And then beyond that, I would say like scroll Pinterest for like 20 minutes a day and just get ideas of like cool things that, catch your eye or could, jump off the page a little bit. If it's like a mural, if it's like a cool bright couch, if it's some like wall art, if it's like maybe a hot tub or some backyard lighting. It's very different for every property, but those things are good. And then like if you can theme it out a little, that would be good. Like we have some in golf areas and like we've got cornhole in the backyard and a little putting green and like, barbecue and like overhang lights. So people love that. And they're just like hanging out when they come home from, golf or whatever. So that would be it. Pinterest, like look at other comps in the area to see what they're doing well to replicate, or you can hire someone. You can even hire these designers as like consultants and they'll do like a lot of digital stuff with you. And so that's what we do. Like we just set up a listing in Raleigh. I'm not there. I trusted Jenny. She's been sending me pictures. The place turned out like better than I ever expected. And like, I didn't have to do anything other than pay her, obviously. So like, that's what I would say to that. But like usually bright colors that, like can jump off a page are a good way to like stand out when someone looks at your listing.
Yeah, I hired a designer. It was $2,000 total for like both sides though. So it's a duplex. And so I told them what I wanted it to look like, and then they sourced all of the furniture and the links and the pricing. And then it turned out to be $20,000, and I was like, wow, no way. And so I went to Facebook Marketplace and found pretty much the exact same things that they wanted, but from there's a lot of returns from Amazon that just end up in wholesale distribution places.
That's
and
cool.
So I found two guys on Amazon Marketplace, or sorry, Facebook Marketplace, who were selling a couch, and I thought they were a scam because it was like a beautiful couch for $200, and I'm like, this is the couch that they wanted me to buy, but instead of $700 or $600, it's $200, and it's brand new. It's brand new in the box, and so I met them at their warehouse. They have a warehouse locally. And they go to all of these Amazon distribution centers for all the returns, pick it up on wholesale, bring it to their storage unit, and have everything brand new that they sell at a fraction of the price. And so I ordered tons, like thousands and thousands of dollars from them of like bed frames that are a third of the price, couches that are a third of the price, like everything a third of the price, dining tables, $90. And I was like, $90 for a dining table. And the one that they had in their sheet was like $540. And so I cut down their $20,000 to, I think it was like, last time I checked, it was like $7 or $8,000. But using the same design. So it's nice to be able to have reference, like, I need it to be these colors, I need it to be this shade of wood, but does it have to be this oval with this pattern? No. Like it can just be generally what it looks like. And then the things that really were like the standout items like the chairs, or like someone just commented on the cow ottomans. Like I got some cow ottomans. Like those were very unique, and so like I couldn't find those on Facebook Marketplace, so I just bought those, and those were like $100. So
That's a great tip.
yeah, sprinkled in the things that were really unique, and the rest of the stuff just I found like that wholesale distributor on Facebook Marketplace. But these warehouses exist everywhere. They have one in Cincinnati where if you take the time to bid on them, you can win stuff for a couple bucks. So it's like we got like a side table for $6 or something. And I have an assistant here. I think that I have to go find the website name and post it. But essentially it's like local eBay. And so they post things and it's like everyone bids on them. And if you bid on them and win, you get to go to the local distribution center and go pick it up. But they probably bought that couch for like $100 or like maybe $50 and then sold it to me for $200, but it retails for $600. So for me, it's like I don't have to do any of the work to source it because they go pick it up. And if it's wrong, if it's broken, whatever, they throw it away. And I pay a little bit more than they pay at the wholesale warehouse, but I still get the deep discounts.
That's a great tip. I've never heard that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool. I'm glad I found them. Now I'm just gonna use them for like seriously. I was like, I'll buy all your stuff. Just send me your inventory list and I'll buy it. So,
seriously, like, I mean, just to have like that contact anytime you want to set up a property is right there. Save you $13,000.
Yeah, it is incredible. I was like, I can't believe that we furnished this for the same type of vibe as the designer wanted, but just for like really a fraction of and over, like 2 properties, it saves, is that like $20,000, $25,000.
That's so sick. That's awesome.
So I'm pretty stoked about it. I enjoy furnishing Airbnbs a lot more than I enjoy renovating properties. There's just like so much that goes wrong in renovating properties, and putting furniture together is so much easier.
Totally agree. 100%.
What are your biggest challenges with owning and running multiple Airbnbs?
I guess in general, but right now it's just like the people that are on my team. And I guess this would be the same for a lot of people. Just people are variable. Like they have lives, things can happen. So, I'm always looking for more people that can come on and help with like messaging, like virtually messaging or learning our systems, and they can, help us oversee more properties. But also in some areas where we have a little bit more remote properties, like making sure that we have really good people that can do cleans, do quick repairs, do like property, like furniture pickups or like installations. It's a little bit of a challenge, but I this might sound like horrible. To me, none of it really feels that hard because I'm not that involved with it anymore. And the people that are like on my team, like they're pretty trained on how to like do those things. Like they know how to find the people, they know how to like inspect work. So at the beginning that was really hard, like setting up those systems, but right now that's not so much of it. I guess it would just be maybe right now, like, yeah, I mean, I'm looking to hire a new assistant. That's been kind of, like annoying. But as far as just like the day to day, it's just making sure that you have like good people that are like in position to do the jobs that you need. But once you have a system set up, it's not that hard. So,
and how many VAs do you have, and where do you find them?
I've had more. Right now I have like 7. And I just like a VA can be US based, it could be international. It doesn't have to be like a Philippine, like $3 an hour thing. Like I know that's like popular on the internet. We've, worked with Indian VAs, Filipino VAs, like, Colombian VAs, but they can be American, so, but that's like right now it is. But that covers like social media, video editing, like personal assistant, guest messaging, like DMs, things like that. And then obviously like, little things that pop up with the properties. But when I was doing the wholesaling and flipping, it was more, but I just found that business to be extremely frustrating. So we got out of that.
Flipping, I agree. I am not a fan, really.
Ugh.
It is so much stress to just like let it go. It's like that's what I don't like about flipping is that you put in so much effort, like heart and soul, into renovating a property, and you can't keep it. Like you just, and then you get torn apart on the inspection, and then everyone has something to complain about, and it's like, so I would way rather just keep the rental properties, have income coming back in, and take the tax benefits and not have anyone nitpick on your inspection. So
Exactly. Totally agree.
it's a tough line of business. So where do you find your VAs? Like, do you find them on a certain website or?
The best place to find VAs is Online Jobs PH or onlinejobs.ph, hands down.
Like Philippines?
Yeah, Philippine VAs. So like if you're looking for, like the highest quality, I would say, like mostly based in the Philippines, those would be great. Because you can see like they have all these like tests on their VAs that come qualified to the site, like in some cases disc profiles, language proficiency, like it's no joke. Like they're screened, they're vetted, like they have reviews. You can do interviews, you can do test projects. It's way more in depth than like Upwork or Freelancer or even Fiverr. So that'd be the best.
Onlinejob.ph?
Yeah, onlinejobs.ph. That one is, if you're looking for super inexpensive international virtual assistant labor, that would be the place. If you're looking for, like for me, we were just looking for like more manager roles for the VAs or like an EA for me, like an executive assistant. For those roles, I was looking on Facebook groups of like stay-at-home moms, military moms, and those have been amazing. I love working with military moms. Like they just have great attitudes and they're like have time, they're proficient. They also don't take shit from people, which I love. Like they're stand-up people, which is super cool.
Yeah. I found mine on the Mom Project. Have you heard of it?
No, what's that? Facebook group?
No, it's an actual service called the Mom Project that connects moms who are trying to get back into the workforce with people who are looking for more experienced VAs. So like they're pricier, but like the person that we hired recently has an experience, like she was the right hand of a COO. And then so her job was like to create pamphlet like procedures and stuff. And then her other job was as recruiting. So she was PR and recruiting. And so like right now her job is in like administrative help because that's what we need. But I was like, my goal for her is to manage and recruit people and then manage all of the recruited people and then create the systems and processes and all of the handbooks and all that sort of thing. And so I think like she's very qualified, like that's what she was doing, but she was a mom and she just wants like virtual work right now. And so right now she's just, calling utility companies and that type of stuff. She did all of my ordering on Amazon for me, which is really nice, and like putting budgets together, which would have taken me hours that I don't have. And so like I totally trust her like with my credit card and like, here you go, you're not someone like across the country who's going to take my credit card information and run. Like I feel like she's very like good, skilled person. And she lives in California, so if I wanted to go drive over to her house, I could. So, yeah, I thought it was a good service. I ended up, they do charge a little bit of a premium. So we ended up, it's interesting because we said no to her because of the cost, like because the cost was so high. And then she reached out and was like, no, I really want to work with you guys. Like we can totally work out something. And so, but yeah, the Mom Project it was a really cool way to meet a lot of qualified people who are just like, have kids and want flexible work.
If someone were to ask me like what's the difference of like when you were not so happy like in this journey versus like extremely happy, it was hiring an assistant. And the first step to that is just knowing like what your value is like per hour, or at least for me, that like made it extremely tangible to know like, okay, my value per hour is X. Anything I hire for less than that I can buy time back, it's a good investment. So like I know it's people look at it like an expense for a lot of people, but also just knowing it's going to make you money, and it doesn't have to be a full-time person. Even if you start someone at 15 hours a week, 10 hours a week, like that's going to free you up to do so many things. And like this person will free me up to do so many different things. Like if they can do my email or make decisions, like because they know how I think, that just frees me up to do more stuff like this, or look at more properties, or, you know, like just think about how we want to run the business and strategize. That like that's not what they want to do, but they like doing that stuff. So another one that's really good is it's called Time Etc. Time ETC. I have a list from like when I was just doing this, but that one's really good. And then another one is Virtual Assistants USA. That's another really good one. And yeah, the moms are awesome. So they're like always looking to like do that stuff, and they can be really good. They could have like a background in it that is what you're looking for, you know?
Yeah. What do you consider to be your hourly rate? Like what is your rate for underneath that you won't do it or hire it?
It's probably, I mean, it's expensive now just because I'm making a lot more money. Right now, my hourly rate is probably like $700 or $800, you know? So like anything less than that is great, you know? So, but at the beginning it wasn't. It was maybe like my hourly rate was like 20 or $30, you know? And if I could find help at like 5, it was just like an amazing arbitrage.
Yeah.
Now I don't look at it like if I find someone that's 700 and I'm worth 800, like that to me, I know well, what that just comes down to is like every role has a price. Every role has just like a marketplace value. So, you know, a good EA should not be more than 80 or 90,000 a year, you know, and like a beginner EA could be like 30 or 40 or like 20 to 30, you know, maybe, and you can train them or do way less. You can do part-time, but yeah, that's like, that took time to build, but yeah, that's what I would say about now it is. Yeah.
I love that. And what's your team structure though? So it's you, it's an EA, and then it's VAs underneath that.
So the EA is going to be like equivalent to like COO or like chief of staff. So like people will report to her. She'll track reports across everything. Like our social media manager will report to her. Our head, like Airbnb, like VA will report to her. Like the people that help sell our courses and like do our sales calls, they'll report to her. So she's just going to be like tracking and organizing like metrics across everything, so that every week she can just send it to me and say, you know, we're up or down compared to this, and like these are all the metrics that drive that type of sale. So she's like really, she'll have those 3 or 4 like units that report to her. As far as like deal finding, I'll probably also just, again, I'm looking for a new one now. The one that was with me, who was amazing, she left after 3 years last Monday, so that's been kind of rough. But you know, this person will also like look at deals for me. They'll be trained on how to analyze deals and also like speak with vendors, you know, like on my behalf. But as far as structure goes, it'd be like those units report to her. She can kind of curate the information, create reports, and then give it back to me. And then I'll meet with her. Let's say I usually do a Monday and a Friday meeting. That's what I would say is like the best structure as far as like with an assistant or with like a staff, so that you can like review last week, plan the week, and then Friday you can review any questions or whatever. But then we use Notion, and like we'll track all of our KPIs and comments and stuff in there. But that's the structure. And then like, you know, the head VA or the head like virtual manager for the Airbnbs, she's managing 2 like virtual assistants that just handle all the messaging, you know. So she's a little bit more trained on like how we do pricing or bundle discounts or how we do off-platform bookings. They're not as trained on that, but they're learning it. And like, again, that's also why we started making courses. Is I made training for every one of those people. And I was like, this is how we do everything. So we can just now sell that. And that became courses and masterminds and all that. But it's just our internal training that we use to run the business that like,
that's cool.
Yeah. And like, you'll do the same thing. I mean, you know, I think you're already doing it, which is amazing.
Get there. I totally agree with you that like school doesn't teach you how to build and manage businesses. And so I have one of my old accounting teacher who I did go to his accounting class all the time. I really liked him. He was on the board of, he was the CFO of a really big company, and he was on the board of a bunch of other companies like really
That's
smart
awesome.
guy. Yeah, and his class was financial accounting, so it was all about like reading balance sheets and making cash flow statements and like reading like all the company's financials, and so that was really interesting. But I asked him
That's
a
cool.
question because he's on the board of a ton of like Equinox and like a lot of big companies, and I was like, tell me, like, how do I build my business like a business? And he told me, he was like, you just got to do it. And I was like, that is so unhelpful.
That's horrible.
I was like, that's not the answer I wanted to hear. I was like, do I go to grad school? And he's like, it's like a little bit of trial and error, and like you can read some books, and like, I was like, that's not helpful in terms of like me setting up my business. So what do
Like
you
I would. Sorry, no, that like evokes like a strong emotional reaction. That's just the worst advice ever. Because like I wish I would have known even how to pay employees, how to incentivize them. Like what a lot of people do when they're getting into business, they're just like, hey, like we're friends, let's go 50-50. I'm like, that's the worst thing to do. Like you guys don't even know if you align, like all that stuff. But that's crazy that he told you that. Like, especially since he has so much business experience. Brutal.
I don't know. I mean, do you have a book recommendation, or is it a little
Traction.
So I read Traction. It was intense. It took me so long to read because it was like, wow, everything is an action item. And then I think I got overwhelmed with like the amount of action items there were.
Here's the best thing that I think anyone could do is make the investment in an EA that has experience and just be super transparent with them and be like, hey, I'm a new entrepreneur, I'm a new CEO, whatever. I don't know what I should even be asking for, but like I'm bringing you in because you have experience. So like you're part accountability partner, you're part CEO coach, you're part like rein things in on this business, and like let's get organized. And you're going to teach me a lot of stuff. I'm going to pay you, but like you're going to teach me a lot, and like some of this I wouldn't know.
Hmm.
And that's really the best advice. And also with that, my biggest mistake with like VAs and EAs and all this stuff is that I'm still am. I was gonna say I was a really nice person at the beginning. I'm still a nice person, but I gave people way too much room and like let mistakes continue. Now, what we do with any VA or any employee, we just do a 30-day trial. I don't even care so much about the interview. The interviews are all bullshit. Anyone could be a good interviewer. I'm like, do these tasks. I'm going to give you tons of instruction. The first 30 days, ping me anytime, and let's see how you do. And that's where the rubber meets the road. If they say they're good at building like Canva slide decks, then the first day they present some garbage back, I'm like, we're done. Like
Yeah.
I brought you on for that task and you can't do it. So I was hiring a skill. But as far as like books go, another book that two that I'm obsessed with, 12 hour. Sorry,
Well,
is
wait,
Michael Hyatt's Free to Focus.
free to focus?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite books with this stuff. And also then the classic I probably read quarterly is, 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. That's just the best.
I honestly haven't read it. I
Message me your address, I'll send it to you. I send that book to everyone. And like again, you're really cool and like we're just meeting, but like you're gonna kill it in business and all this stuff. But like that's my favorite book of all time. And like just knowing you a little bit, you're gonna love that book and you're gonna like implement that book so hard.
Janelle actually sent me screenshots from that book the other day. It was about like how much you actually need to live on if you go like travel to some South American country. And she's like, we can do it. So that was the text she sent me, and I was like, what book is that? She's like, 4 Hour Work Week.
Yeah, that book is just the best. I mean, he wrote that book before it was even like popular, but that book is just the best.
Yeah. Talk to me in about a year and we'll see where I am.
Okay, we'll do another one of these.
Completely different place. It's I listened to this podcast the other day where it was like year 1 is just about planting seeds and year 2 is about cultivating and year 3 is where you reap the bounty. So like last year was like planting seeds, and then this year was like getting punched in the face by cultivating. Like, no joke. And I'm not even at the 2-year mark yet, but I like in the best way possible of like, wow, I learned a lot of lessons the really hard way. Like people tried to warn me, touch the fire, or like I scaled too fast. I had no systems. I came into cash flow problems, like all sorts of stuff that you learn in business, but I learned them all like in such a compressed amount of time. How to be a boss, how to hire, how to fire, like how to fire people at 20. I was 23 when I fired my first person. I fired like people that contractors. But it's tough. It's like it's tough having people who are older than you and more experienced than you, and just be like
all that.
So and so like next year is year 3, and so like year 3 is where you reap the bounty, and like the cash flow comes in, and like the properties are stabilized, and like you finally feel like you have some traction in what you know. And so like I'm so excited to get there.
I think that could be a good jump off point, because we're going to need to do more of these to see all these amazing updates, like 3 months, 6 months, like more VAs, like all that. But like you're on the path. It's just like, then like doing it, but like getting, like, these are the questions that I wish I would have asked and like also gotten answers to, like team structure and comp, and like, building a business that you don't have to be involved in the day to day. And like you're on the path to doing that. So it's really cool.
How long do you think it would take if you had to start from scratch, if like you're in the day to day? Like I have 2 assistants and I have a partner. And so that's helpful, because it's like I'm now learning to focus on the things that I'm good at and get rid of the rest. But I still think I'm in, say, like step 1 of building that process, and still in the very disorganized phase of like, wow, we did a lot of things wrong, and now we're building back up. Like, how long would you say, obviously it depends, but would you say it takes to put together that system where you feel confident that you are like moving and grooving outside of the day to day?
I think it would take me like 1 year. Like if I was 21 starting over, I would do 2 things, like property wise, and then like team and VA and all that. Like it would be the same stuff I'm doing now that I just learned how to do. But I would buy a 4-unit, house hack it, like to make money to live. And then I would probably buy a second home, 10% down. So like 3.5%, 10%, pretty turnkey properties, bank financing, like pretty doable. And then the VA or the EA stuff, like that doesn't take that long. It would be the property acquisition that would take a little time and savings, or maybe like partnering with people, or, making the money. But yeah, other than that, the hardest thing was just like getting over like the hump of learning, like, what do I do? What do I say? Like, am I doing the right thing? And then like with social media and hiring and content, it was just like, how do I do all this stuff? But like now knowing enough about it, I think that would be like the longest it would take. And then like the other thing, again, living in Colombia, 4-hour work week, like what Janelle saying, if I'm making 100,000 a month, or if I'm making 10,000 a month, my lifestyle right now is not changing. So like, it's just like numbers on a screen that make me feel good, but like I could live the same way in that first year as I'm doing like right now, So like, that's what I also wish more people knew about, that like, it doesn't have to be this like 10-year or 20-year plan. Like just do a couple like steps in the right order, like early. And obviously mindset stuff matters too, but like, that's the way I think about it.
Yeah. Hey, I feel like I'm almost there. We're rounding the hump.
You're so close. You have no idea how close you are. Like, I mean, it's gonna be really cool to watch, but like, you're there. The biggest thing also that I wish I would have like told myself more when I was like right where you are is like, there's no such thing as like, I'll be happy when. Because like, then when you get to when, it's like, am I happy? Like, right. I don't have to do anything anymore, but like, this is what I always wanted. It's like the guy or girl that, wins the trophy, and like, now what, So like, for me, it was always like, kind of what we were talking about before, of like skills and languages and like being with fun people. That's really what it then becomes about once you're there. But you're like about to be there. You're like 3-6 months, like tops, I feel like, from being there. Like, and then I think you're doing like masterminds and stuff. That's a great way to like supplement income and like, also grow your brand and community. And then like the social media stuff becomes like amazing income. So like, you're right there. You're on third base. Like you're getting waved home. Like, it's happening.
That's the hardest part though, is being on third and just not quitting. No, I'm excited. I have a lot of travel plans coming up. I'm actually going, I don't know if you know Sarah Weaver. Do you know Sarah Weaver? Maybe?
I know the name. I don't know why, but I think I know her.
She was on Bigger Pockets not too long ago, but I'm going to Guatemala with her.
I don't know why.
Or it's like a real estate mastermind type of thing. And they're doing like a co-working type of thing. So it's like you just go for the mastermind, you stay for another 7 days or whatever. So I'm doing that, and then I'm going to Portugal with Dawn and Janelle. I think.
Oh, no way.
I think so.
That's so fun.
I can tell. I'm gonna say it here, and I think she's watching, so we're gonna go. And then I'm going to Ireland, and then I'm going to Cabo, and so my whole year is like. That's why I'm running so hard these first like 7 months out of this year, because past that, like, I'm gone.
That's so epic.
So, yeah, so I'm excited. I feel like, again, like, year 2 is cultivate and year 3 is reap. So, like, I'm so close. And I love that podcast so much. It's about this guy. I wish I knew his name. But, like, this guy who basically was, like, super successful in rental properties and then sold it all to join like a Cutco MLM type of thing, and it was so strange. But he had like hundreds of people underneath him, and he realized he wasn't making any money, so he had sold all his rental properties to start up this business. Lost it all, and ended up, he's 27, ended up like bottom of the barrel, living at his parents' house, no money, totally broke. And he like built himself all the way back up to, he has, I don't know, like thousands of units now and hundreds of millions of dollars of real estate. And that is his quote, where he says, like, if he doesn't do anything that he doesn't see himself doing for 3 years or longer. So that was his response in like avoiding shiny object syndrome, is if he doesn't see it being a sustainable 3-year process, because you have to wait till year 3 to cultivate, then he's just not doing it. So
if you find that, please send it. I'd love to check it out.
Yeah, it's an awesome conversation. It's like a 2-parter. I'll DM you the podcast.
Cool, awesome.
Yeah, well, this turned into a long conversation.
I know, it was great. We definitely need to do more of these.
Yeah, it was like it's like my coaching. I felt like I got coached today. I'm coached by you. This is like live coaching.
I want to do another one, and I want to hear all about private money and just like the flips, and also like updates on where you're at with the Airbnb and just like everything. So if you're up for it, it would be fun to do another one.
Let's because the Airbnb should go live somewhere like April 1st or April 7th, something like that. And then launching, the one that I'm sitting in right now is actually going to be, well, I'm in California, renovated and launched too. So there'll be 3 of them. I'm kind of going all in here on Airbnbs.
Let's do it.
Yeah, and so I'm really excited to see if it performs half as well as they expect it to. Like, I'm seriously going to be stoked. So let's do it. And I can talk all about, we also raise private money to fund Airbnbs. And so we do like the AIRBNB strategy.
Love that.
And I don't think I've put almost no money into any of my deals over the past year. So it's all through like social media, private money.
That's so cool.
Family. It's crazy how much money is out there.
It really is. But again, I don't think a lot of people talk about how to do it. So like, that's such a cool place to like talk and educate people.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
Before we hop off, I mean, there's still a good amount of people on here. What's the best way for people to connect with you, or anything you want to like, pitch or plug right now, and then we can both jump off. I'll do the same, but after.
Probably honestly just Instagram. So I guess you can just like tap me on here or something. Lattes and Lisa's.
Guys, go follow her.
Yeah, come follow me. And that's probably the best way to find me. I have done a bad job at creating like courses and whatnot. So that's something that once I'm done with, I'm working on selling 2 flips, launching 3 Airbnbs, and finishing a 10-unit renovation. So once those are a little bit wrapped up, my time is free, and I'm going to do a little bit more like content creation. But my website has like a workshop on private money, a workshop on investing out of state, all that type of thing. So if you click the link in my bio, it's all there.
Awesome. All right. I'll check it out myself. Well, I'm sure a lot of people are going to go jump there right now too. So that's awesome. For me, kind of the same. Hit me up on Instagram, DM me, pretty much answer every DM. So if you have a question, you're looking for help with anything, hit me up. And we also have let me make sure I get the date right. And we were talking about like like webinar jam stuff and calendar invites. You will get a calendar invite if you register, but we have an Airbnb training Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. So if anyone's interested in that, the link is in my bio now. It's going to be the first 5 steps anyone could take to buy or control an Airbnb in the next 90 days. So
the real question is, do you answer your DMs or does a VA answer your DMs?
I answer any DM that's like, how do I do this? Like real estate specific. So what they'll do is they'll go through those DMs. They go through all of them that aren't in my primary. So like they're not reading like, I mean, they probably could and they could just like unread it. So I don't really know that, but I trust this girl. So, but if anyone's hitting up and it's like, hey, like where do I find this? Or how do I get like coaching, or do you have a video about this? Like she has all those resources. So she's going through those every day and she'll be answering, but she'll flag or leave the ones unread that are like, hey, like, you know, should I buy a fourplex or an Airbnb? Like she doesn't know how to answer that. And like, I'll jump in and I'll spend like 20 or 30 minutes a day on those, but she can help like organize those. Kind of like the same way that like a VA can help you organize your email, you know, just to know like what you need to put a personal touch on versus what they can. So, but I was too bogged down in it. Like it can be a lot. It gives a lot of followers too.
It's a lot. No, I have hundreds of unread. I'm only asking once. I wanted to know if it was a VA talking to me, not you. But but also because I like it's tough. I can't answer hundreds of DMs that say like, even like, where do I start? And I'd love to just send them like a YouTube video or something, but it's like I can't. And so I didn't even know that you can flag DMs and unread them. So we'll have to ask you how you do that.
You can flag them, and then depending, like you can set your account up so you'll have like a primary and then like a request folder. Yes. They'll go through the request one, they'll answer questions or like help people like find stuff, and then move it into the general. And then if it's something that like I'm working on or a friend or just like whatever, I'll move that into primary, and that's just me. So, but
so you separate it that way. So you'll answer primary, they'll answer general.
Exactly. And like, it just, you know, I looked at it, like I look at everything, like 80% of something is better than 0% of something, you know? So like they weren't getting touched at all, which I don't want to leave people hanging. So like, if it can be done like pretty well, that's good enough for me, as opposed to like not done at all, you know? And like, I'm bailing on them. So, you know, if anyone has a question, DM me. You'll get answered. If it's specific, hit me up. And like, again, if you ever need help with that, Soli, like we could talk about it too. Just like how, because again, that was a question. I teach that in college, how to handle DMs once you have 30,000 Instagram followers. That wasn't taught in college. My marketing professor didn't even know what Instagram was. So like, come on, people. But like, and again, I hit up a ton of influencer friends. I'm like, how do you handle this? And like, they all had horrible answers. I'm like, all right, I got to try something. And this works. So, but if you need help with it or whatever, like,
please make a course on like Instagram, social media automation, and using like Zaps, because I'm so confused.
We could do a little call on that. If you want, we'll do a call on that. We could record it too. It'd be good content for both of us. I have a course on everything we do social media, all scripted. I just need to film it. I've been lazy. But if you need help setting up that Zap, we could jump on a call. I'm happy to help. But like, that's a little thing. Like, I couldn't find the answer to that. I had to hire a Zapier consultant and like whatever, you know. So like, but we got it done.
So I just let it be. I was like, it's fine. It'll be okay.
No, your events, I'm sure, are awesome. So
people show up. It's okay. Yeah, but there's a better way to do everything. And so always in search of the better way.
Always. That's why you're going to be successful. So.
Cool. Well, I look forward. This is fun. I look forward to doing the next one, and hopefully I have some really good Airbnb to share with you.
I'm sure you will. All right. Well, here if you need anything, this was seriously super fun, and we'll do it again.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks.
All right. Cool. See you later. All right. Bye.